Alright, I'm going to do a quick hive inspection of these guys. I've already taken the lid off here. This is some bee pollen. I'm going to pack the smoker down a little bit there. Alright, insert our hive tool in the corner here. Lift up the corner. Same thing for this side. Lift up the corner. And I always lift and smoke them while I'm lifting. I'm going to put that back pretty flat right there. Not on the ground, but pretty close. See, I've got a beetle blaster here. Put my smoker there. So I've got my beetle blaster here. This is on the top super. There's no excluder here. I've actually got quite a few little beetles in there. I'm going to move that to the outside because that's where they recommend to put that. I'm going to take a new one here and put it on this side. I don't think they really started doing anything to these cones right here. Now that one's blank, that one's blank, that one's blank. Here, I'm gonna try to take one out of the middle here, just to see if they've done anything with them. Well, I have to propylize the bottom of this one. Oh yeah, he's built a little bit of comb right there between the bottom and the top. Not very much. Just a little bit of comb in between there. What I'm going to do is this beetle blaster here, I'm going to add just some vegetable oil to it. And they say on the packaging about 25 milliliters, but I think that's about roughly halfway here. So I put just enough in it to make it so it would catch some beetles. This hive doesn't really have a huge beetle problem, but we don't want it to either. I'm gonna take my bottom board, put it back on here, or my top board, I mean, my hive top. That's pretty much all I'm looking for. There's no queen excluder there, but they haven't really drawn out any comb in the top section either. So we're not expecting them to be doing anything really. Gonna leave that pollen there. If they eat it, fine. If they don't, it'll be okay too. I've got a feeder here on the front, and that's got a 1-to-1 sugar in it, and we're coming out of a dearth here, time where there's not really any flowering plants or anything, so I put feeders on all of them, and we're gonna try to do the same thing in this one here. controller's not working super great today for me. The girls are usually pretty cooperative though. I'll move this over to the side here, and we'll try to get some views out of this one. Smoking. Nobody on the top of this one. Oh, there's a lizard. And we got some powder, and this is a pollen patty. And that's pretty dried up. They haven't really done much with that lately. I'm gonna just scrape that out of there. Kind of break it up. But I'm gonna remove that once I get done with my inspection here. So same thing as the last one. Put your hive tool in the corners there. Boop boop. Pop it open. And smoke the colony. And there's not really anybody on the top there. So what I like to do is I like to just hang my smoker right there. It's not really doing much at the moment. See, this one's got diatomaceous earth in it, and you can see quite a few hive beetles in there. So I'm gonna kind of take this over here. I'm gonna knock all that out of there. Try to anyway. The hive beetles don't tend to come out too well when they're dead, but there's let's see, what is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 in there. So that's not too bad actually. I say that they come out with the oil a little bit easier. So I'm actually going to try to reuse this one, put oil back in it. Oop, put too much in. Pour some of that out. My bad. Now we're just going to put that back in there on the edge. Vegetable oil doesn't affect the bees if they get drenched in it, it will, but if they get a little bit on them, then most of the time it doesn't matter. I'm just dumping the diatomaceous earth out of the second one here. I was actually able to get all the beetles out. That one had 5 in it. I'll do the same thing. I'll just refill it with the oil. And that's about all we need in there. I'll replace it. And they say to put them on these outer 2 frames, because the hive beetles will come up and then they come around the edges there, more than likely. That's where they recommend to do it, and I've been catching them there, so somebody knew what they were talking about. And I'm going to pull a frame out of the center here. These guys weren't, well, they put a little bit of pollen in there, or a little bit of maybe some wax that they've put in there. They're still pretty content with the bottom piece. I may have put this. This is a brood box, so effectively made them a double deep brood, and they're still pretty much at the bottom of that one. Go ahead, and I'm gonna try not to lay that one on the ground, just to avoid squishing anybody. Smoker quit on me there. These guys are usually pretty docile. I don't have any more stumpy thoraxes, which is good. Means my Varroa treatment worked pretty good. I don't see anybody with a stumpy thorax or anything. That one might have one. Everybody else is looking pretty good. I don't think they've made it to the outer frames here. Move fly. Go back in there, bee. So, yeah, they haven't done anything to these. The 4 frames on the outside they were still working on the other week. I don't think they've really done anything different. Oh, my bad. She had her leg caught in there. So really and truly, it'll be a couple of days at least, so they're ready to be moving into that brood box. They are drawing on this one, so it'll be a couple of days. But I'm gonna go ahead and put it in there for them. They can move when they want to. So that's the way that I've always read is, wait till they get to those outer 4 and they're drawing on those, then go ahead and put your super, or in this case I'm gonna try a double brood box setup instead of just the single brood with a super, and see if they like that or not. I mean, if they don't, then we'll go back to the singles. So, like I said, we'll just put the lid and the lid back on here. I'm gonna there's still some dried they much prefer this. Alright, moving on to number 3. Oh, there we go. And number 3 is still a single. They weren't feeding quite as well as any of the other hives, so I left them a single. brood longer than anybody else. Just because they weren't really doing all that well. Let me relight my smoker here. Alright, so you can see here's the queen excluder that I was originally going to use, but decided against it. My smoker is working a little bit better there. These guys have actually taken all the sugar out of their feeder here. And alright guys, we're going to do a quick follow-up here. As you can tell, the video got cut kind of short, and so we got into the third hive, took the lid off, no bees. Unfortunately, the bees had swarmed, and I believe it was due to small hive beetle. Little bitty beetles that get in the hive, they eat honey. They don't destroy the comb like a wax moth, but they do eat the honey. They stress the hive out and eventually lead to swarming. So we're back to 2 hives, one of my originals and then the additional hive that's 2 or 3 weeks behind. Actually in population it's probably ahead. But what I did was I transferred the old frames that had been drawn out to one of my other hives, put some beetle blasters in, put some CD case, beetle traps, and went to town taking apart the old hive. Found a lot of ants. Ants is probably one of the other reasons they had a pretty good ant problem, trying to figure out how to solve that. But I did by put some diatomaceous earth up under the hive, sprayed some Roundup under the hive. We're going to kill all the weeds and stuff that are up under our hives, and then start spraying some salt and vinegar mix that was recommended by Barnyard Bees. And we're going to see if that kind of reduces my hive beetle population, as well as kind of help these 2 hives strengthen on up, so that maybe in the spring we can do some splits with them. I'd like to take these 2 and split each one of them and get 4 hives out of it. I don't know if that's going to happen yet or not, but maybe. Trying to be kind of brief here so I don't run out of what remaining storage space I got on this SD card here. But I'm going to tilt it down so you can see the hive here. This is our number 1 hive. This is one of the older hives, and then that's where number 2 sat right there. So we're just going to, you see the diatomaceous earth. I've kind of taken the hive apart there to get all the ants exposed. Other than that, these guys are doing good. These guys have actually ramped up. They're using about a quart of 1-to-1 sugar mix a day now. We're not quite over the hump of our dearth here. in North Florida. We've got a couple of things starting to bloom, mainly goldenrod. Goldenrod starting to pop off. But other than that, we're pretty low on flowering plants right now. I've got a couple of sunflowers that are blooming right now, just stuff that I've planted. A lot of our native plants, it's still August.